All right, welcome back to the second video in the World Population Project videos. In this video, we are going to take what we did last time, and we're going to make a table of values with the formula that we created for the population. We're going to learn a little bit more about formulas, specifically about what happens when you copy and paste them. We're also going to make a graph from our table, something that you've done before in a previous assignment. And then we're going to edit the graph. We're going to put titles and so on, things we didn't do before. All right, so let's start with where we left off. So I think last time we had here 2, but this time I want to change it back to 10. That's what we originally had. And what we want to do is create a table of values. Excuse me, a table of values from this formula. Now, one of the things I like to be able to see is kind of what happens as the years progress. So for example, what happens in 1955, 1960, and maybe go all the way to 2015. But one thing I don't want to do is type all these values in. This will take too long. So maybe a better idea is to let Excel do the work for us. And so one of the things I can do is maybe say, okay, Excel, here's equals. I want you to take 1950, and I want you to add 5 years to it. So I want you to add 5. And so there's my equation. Take the thing that's in A11 and add 5 to it, and you get 1955. Now, wouldn't it be nice if I can just drag this and copy it, and it would do what I want, so that the next number would be 19. Oh, it is 1960. So how did it do this? Well, Excel sort of guesses what you wanted. It figured last time you wanted to take the number above it, A11, and add 5 to it, so it thinks that when you copy this, you want the number above that, 1955, and add 5. And so now this means that we can drag this and create more years. And in fact, I'm going to go to the cell A31, because I already know that that's going to give me 2050. I had done this earlier. And so these are the years I'd like to look at. Now, it'd be nice here in this column that it would know the time from 1950. So for example, here in 1955, I'd like to see a 5. Here, I'd like to see a 10. But again, I don't want to type this up. So I'm wondering if it'll know what I want by copying this formula. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to drag down till B31 this time, and hopefully it does what I want. Bingo. 2050 really is 100 years from 1950. So it does know that. So far I'm on a roll. So let's try it again. It'd be nice if I can do it one more time. And now I got issues. And so in Excel, this division by 0, it actually is telling you, hey, you can't divide by 0. This is impossible. So Excel knows you can't divide by 0. So we have to change this. And the problem is that if you look at this formula, this D6 represents the A naught. And when we go down, it says, well, I'm going to use D7. But D7 is 100, and that's not the number I want. I wanted to continue using 2.52 wherever I see a D6. In the formula, this is what we had. Similar, I wanted to divide by D7 here. That's the carrying capacity. But I don't want it to change. And when I look at the formula here, it changed to D8. And so this is what I don't want. So there is a way to fix this. And so when you go in the formula, what I say is I always want D6. So I'm going to put a $sign right here so it knows stay at 6. And then over here where it says D8, I do want it to use the rate all the time. So I'm going to put a $sign in front of the 8. And wherever I see this D6 and wherever I see the D8, I will put $signs. And so if you needed to pause the video so you can do this, make sure to do that. We need one more right here at the D7. And once we do this, when I copy, I won't have the problem anymore. In fact, let me just copy one so you can see. Notice that this one, the D6, the D8, and the D7 stayed the same. The only number that changed was the B12. It was B11, now it's B12, but that's okay. B11 represented 0, and B12 represents 5. So that's okay if it changes, because the formula will still be the same, will still be correct. And so I'm going to go ahead and drag this down all the way. And then our check is here in 2000. We had done this in the previous video. Last time I typed in 2000, I got 79 billion. And remember that we changed it to 2 to get something that was maybe a little bit more believable. But for this problem, for this example, we're going to go ahead and continue using 10. Okay, now we have a nice table of values. We can continue this. We can drag down if you wanted more data. But what I'd like to do is I think we have enough data. Let's see what happens. Let's graph this data. So we're going to do something tricky here. So I want you to drag from 1950 to 2050. If you have a Mac, you hit the command button as you do the following. I'm going to hit the command button right next to the space, and I'm going to drag right here. It takes a little bit of skill, so practice that so you can get both of those columns. If you have a Windows machine, you can do this with the control button. So in Mac, use Command, Windows, use Control. Now I'm going to go to the charts. We did this last time. Go to the charts. I'm going to go to Scatter, and I'm going to ask for a scatter plot. And look at that nice little graph. This is what we did last time. I'm going to go ahead and move it here. I don't really need this series right now, so I'm going to click on it and press delete so I can get a better graph. And what I wanted to show you are the things that we can do with this. So for example, up here in Excel on Mac, there's a button called Format. In Word, it'll be in PCs, it'll be a little bit different, but we'll put another video up. Here where it says, sorry, not Format, Chart Layout. Here notice that we can add legends, we can add axis titles, we can add a chart title. So let's go ahead and add a chart title. So let's put it above, and let me call this World Population. All right, what about an axis? Well, let's put a horizontal axis right below, and let me put years. And then let's go ahead and put a vertical axis. And here we have options. We could put a horizontal title, a vertical title, or a rotated title. Usually I like the rotated titles because then it looks kind of cool to me anyway. And I'm going to put the units in billions. So the population in billions. We can make this chart bigger if it's a little too small for you. It's a little too small for me anyway, so we can definitely make that a little bit bigger. There's a lot more things that you can add. For example, if you like grid lines, you can put horizontal grid lines. You can put vertical grid lines. And now you have something that looks a little bit nicer. The minor ones are just really tiny ones. You don't have to do these. I'm going to go ahead and take them off. I'm not a big fan of the little lines. I prefer the major ones. I think this looks a little bit nicer. And one last thing we can do is we can play with the scales. And so I'll let you play with this. But I usually double click here on the scales. And I go to the scale, and for example, I can go up by tens if I wanted. And you see how it changed the graph. The population went up by 10. And even here, if I want to, I can change these and make them also go up by 10. And so it looks like that. And so you get, the grid gets a little bit more, you get more squares in this grid. So I'll let you play with this and save it however you want. Do not forget to save. And then you can go ahead, press save here, and you can come back for the last video. On the last video, we will actually put a different trend line. We're going to look at something different, and so we'll keep playing with this just one more time. All right, talk to you soon.